Well, reading from our bulletin, responding to the grace of God, the Mount Vernon United Church of Christ is an open and affirming congregation. We welcome all persons, all races, ages, sexual orientations, gender identities and expressions, family structures, faith backgrounds, abilities, and economic circumstances. We recognize all people as children of God, welcome all people to worship and serve with us, and consider all who come to be a necessary part of this fellowship with all of its privileges and responsibilities. And so grace, peace, and welcome to you all on this beautiful Sunday morning. Today is the last day of the church year. This is the day that is called Christ the King Sunday, or if you don't like kings, it's called the Reign of Christ Sunday. And it ends the church year. Next Sunday is the first Sunday of Advent, and we begin telling the story all over again. And we will cycle through from Christmas, from Advent into Christmas, into Epiphany, into Lent, into the long period of ordinary time, back in the fall to All Saints' Day at the 1st of November, and again to the Reign of Christ Sunday on the last Sunday before Advent. I love this. I love the cycle. The story never ends. We always come back to the beginning and carry it through all the way to the end. So today you celebrate the end because you are waiting next week for something to begin all over again. Today we will begin, as we always do, with a time for you to sit in silence, for you to close your eyes if you would like to, but to breathe as deeply as you can. Become aware with each breath you take that God is with you and God is in this place. Steve and Kelly are away this week, so our musical format will be a bit different than it usually is. I'm going to ask you to stand if you're able and join me in the call to worship, which will then flow into our first hymn. This is for all of us to repeat. I will give thanks to the Lord with my whole heart. I will recount all of your wondrous deeds. We will be glad and exult in you. We will sing praise to your name, O Most High. Our opening hymn is Let All Things Now Living. You will know the tune. If you don't know the words, you will be listening along anyway. Would you pray with me, please? Holy One, in the words of your prophet, we hear your dream, that they will not hurt or destroy on all my holy mountain, for the earth will be full of the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. We long for this dream to become reality. We long for the day when the earth will be protected, when all the children will be safe, and every future will be secure. Make us today vivid dreamers of your life-giving dream, who, with eyes wide open, dream in hope and act in faith, we pray. Amen. For as the heavens are high above the earth, so great is God's steadfast love toward us. As far as the east is from the west, so far does God remove our transgressions from us. As a father or a mother has compassion for their children, so the Lord has compassion for us. For God knows how we were made. God remembers that we are dust. This is the gospel. This is the good news to us. This is what brings us all to say, thanks be to God. Lots and lots going on in the next week or two that is in your bulletin. I want to draw your attention to a couple things. Well, one thing that's in there and a couple that are not. The Community Ecumenical Thanksgiving service is this evening at 7 o'clock at the Evangelical Lutheran Church in Mount Horeb. So if you are able to come for that, you will enjoy that. Secondly, you received an email this week from me, and there's posters on both doors today. The Mount Horeb United Methodist Church and the Mount Horeb P-Flag group are co-sponsoring a concert at the Methodist Church next Sunday. It is the Perfect Harmony Men's Chorus from Madison. Will be coming out and doing a holiday concert for us. And we are all invited. I'm going to be there. I hope many of you will be there too. I don't remember the time. Margie, do you have?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, next Sunday.
And vanilla and chocolate cake afterwards.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're providing cake for that, vanilla and chocolate. And I think I know where I will go. So come, you'll enjoy the music. We've heard they are very good. There's no admission for the concert. There will be a free will offering taken to cover the cost of the men's chorus coming. But do come, you will enjoy it. And then, secondly from me, or third from me, my wife found a book that I have looked at. Haven't read the whole thing yet, but I've looked at it. It's by Madeline L'Engle. It's called Miracle on 10th Street. It is a compilation of poems and short essays that L'Engle wrote. And I've read the first few chapters of it, and I love it. And so I am ordering 10 copies of this book, and they will be available I'm discounting the price to $5 to the first 10 people who want one, with the provision that you really want to read it. Don't take it and stick it on your shelf. If you're going to get it for that kind of price, you have to want to read it. And then we will also be meeting, as we have for the last several years, Friday mornings at Schulin's to talk over together some of the sections of the book, and you're more than welcome to be there too. We might also, if there's interest, we'll open up a table downstairs during coffee hour to talk about it for people who can't be at Schulin's. Yeah, Werner.
Are only 10 people allowed to join?
Yeah, only 10 people can join, right. If you're not one of the first 10, you buy your own book and join us. No, we're not limited to 10 people. Anybody who would like to be a part of it, you're welcome. I just can't afford to buy more than 10 books. As I said, the book is just delightful. The poetry and the essays it's good writing. You will enjoy digging into this book. Yeah, Werner.
It's at the library too.
Oh, it is? Okay. So if you don't want to buy it, if you don't get one of mine, you can get it from the library for free. But it will be good. You will enjoy that if you get a chance to join us on that. So if you want a book, if you want to be on the list to get a book, just talk to me, and I'll get your name down, and we will have them here by next Sunday. Okay, Ellen, do you have something for us?
I do. First of all, as you all know, we had rain this past week, and
Give us the good news.
so I came in early the next morning and looked under the stairs where we've had all the water, and it was bone dry. So I was a little bit nervous when I did it, but I looked under there. I've got pictures on my phone if you're ever interested. I have 2 pictures of these 2 spots on my phone going back for a month now, because I can't.
Water was in my basement.
I can't. We sent it over to Deb. I can't get in there to look where I need to get, so I'd stick my phone in there and take pictures. So really interesting viewing. So we're very optimistic about this whole system that we put in. I get messages every time one of the pumps runs, which means any of the sump pump, either the sump pumps or the pump that's in the tank in back, or the pump that's in the cavity that the tank is in back. So I do get messages that the pumps are running, they're doing their job, and we're keeping the water away from the buildings. I'm really happy about that. The doors, front doors, the aluminum is in. It is right now in Wausau in the queue to be formed up to make the front doors. And the glass will be in, we're expecting it December 13th. So we're hoping that the doors will be in the second full week of December. The sign, originally they had said they were gonna be putting the sign in this coming week, with it being Thanksgiving, and I just looked at the forecast, so I don't know if they're gonna want to be out there doing that, but the sign is just about done and will be in shortly. Lastly, Brad was talking about things coming up with the men's chorus. Also, just to let everybody know, on December 14th, which is a Saturday, at 11 o'clock, it's on a Saturday this year, Greg Zellick, the principal organist and curator at Madison Symphony Orchestra, will be presenting his organ. We'll be presenting his carol sing with him at the organ. So that's always great. It's a wonderful thing. It's been on Monday the past few years. This year he moved it to Saturday, so I think it's going to be a really exciting thing. So, yeah, if anybody's interested in going and maybe meeting up somewhere before or afterwards for lunch or brunch or something like that, get in touch, and it'll be a great day.
If you have not been to one of these carols singing at the Overture Center before, you are missing a delightful time. I mean, there's, what does that see, a couple thousand people? And it's usually pretty full, so you've got 2,000 people singing Christmas carols together, and it's one of the most moving Christmas events I've ever experienced. And we have been there, what now, 3 years in a row? I think we just love it. So if you can possibly make it, get yourself down there and join us for that. It is a wonderful time.
And they often have the chorus also up in the highest level. And at the end, when they come in, it just sends goosebumps for you. So
Yeah.
it's a great thing.
Yeah, you will not be sad you came. So if you can possibly be there, join us for that.
Where's that at? At Overture Center. And it's free, so.
What time?
11 o'clock on the 14th.
11 o'clock on the 14th.
And it's short, it's only about 45 minutes,
Right.
but it's great.
And we sing almost every single carol. You get a pamphlet with the words in front of you, the music, and it really is just delightful.
And the talent of Greg.
Yeah, the organist ain't bad. He's quite a showman. He's fun to watch. Any other announcements out there that I wasn't aware of that we need to make? Lorna?
For the RIP, the medical debt.
You better come up here to the microphone then. Yeah.
I was supposed to prepare something and then I forgot about it until about 10 minutes ago. I had noticed that Brad had sent us a letter about the RIP medical debt for, that the UCC in Chicago did. They raised, I could look it up, but they raised about $38,000, and I don't know if you're all aware, but when people are going into medical bankruptcy and debt, that debt gets sold and is redeemed for pennies on the dollar. But the people in debt don't get that relief, it's the people who buy the debt. So the idea with this RIP medical debt is that we will buy for pennies on the dollar, and then we will relieve these people of debt. I just want to read these statistics. Medical debt contributes to more than 60% of all bankruptcies. 43 million Americans owe about $75 billion in past due medical debt. 75% of them had medical insurance. So this could happen to anybody. So the UCC Church has decided for Giving Tuesday, which I think is this coming Tuesday, Brad, that we are going to be part of this effort. They are encouraging people to contribute, and then it's going to go to a fund that's going to relieve people of medical debt. And I looked up what the UCC Church in Chicago, in partnership with the UCC Church and some other organizations did. They bought $5.3 million in medical debt with $38,000 raised. So in other words, it took $38,000 to relieve, I think it was like 6,000 families of medical debt. So they're out of bankruptcy. They're completely clear of medical debt now. So I thought this was a really worthy cause, and I'm hoping that our church will contribute to it, because it seems like, as they compared it, it's like the loaves and fishes. Not very much can do a really lot of good. So I encourage everybody to contribute.
We can take contributions for this effort here. You can write a check made out to Mount Vernon UCC and with a tagline, RIP, rest in peace, debt. And then we'll make sure it gets to the right place.
Can you direct it, or does it all go to Chicago and then direct it from?
This will go, I think, to the National UCC office, or is it going through Chicago, do you know?
No, it's not going through Chicago. I think it's going to the RIP, which is not a UCC group.
Oh, UCC is working with the IRP debt, okay. No, it'll go then to a larger organization that is gathering money that will be parceled out.
And I should have said they're directing it to people of lower incomes.
Yeah. So the relief is directed to people of lower income, but as Lauren said, 75% of the people in bankruptcy had medical insurance. You know, and some of us know just how much that's worth sometimes. And so I think it's fair to say any one of us is vulnerable to this kind of thing, and this is the chance to do a huge amount of good for a very small amount of money. So if you'd like to contribute to that, you can do it through the church. Make out the check to the church so that it goes onto your records, and we will make sure it gets funneled to the right place. Thank you very much.
And I should probably add, if you want to know more, just look up RIP medical debt.
Yeah, you go online if you want to know more about it. Look up RIP medical debt. Google that, and look at more information for you there. Okay. Anything else out there?
The tree lighting in the park is next Sunday at 4:30.
Okay, the Mount Vernon Community Tree Lighting is in the park, Forest of Fame Park, next Sunday at
4:30.
4:30. Last year there was hot cider and cookies and cake and
Yeah.
and it was cold, I remember. So dress warm if you come to the tree lighting. Dress warm. Thanks, Deb. Okay, our poem today that calls us to the offering is a delightful piece by Parker Palmer that I found this week. Called Why Should I Ever Be Sad? Why should I ever be sad? Knowing the aspens are always here dancing along this trail, slim as willowy girls, swinging their arms, tossing their hair, swaying their hips in rhythm with the mountain wind. Above the aspens, intensified sky, a dream of blue seen only as cities fade from view. Below them a rocky slope, covered with clouded clumps of leaves and fallen, rotted branches, laying down a love bed where Indian paintbrush and white violets grow amid a flourish of green. All of the tumbled boulders and rocks have found their angle of perfect repose. So why should I ever be sad? All of this waits for me when at last I stumble and fall, waits for me to join in this dance with all that turns and whirls, a dance done to the silent music of our dappled, singing, swaying world. We will receive our morning offering at this time, and then following the offering, instead of our standard doxology, we're going to sing, Come Ye Thankful People Come. So the words will be on the screen, and we'll stay standing for that. I'm going to pray for you, but I didn't put the prayer on the screen. Let's pray. May we, generous God, continue to be who we were created to be, to live as we were meant to live, and to astonish this mean world with acts of kindness, inspired by your amazing grace. Amen. Be seated, please.
Draw near with me to hear Isaiah's prophetic words. Let me sing for my beloved my love song concerning his vineyard. My beloved had a vineyard on a very fertile hill. He dug it and cleared it of stones and planted it with choice vines. He built a watchtower in the midst of it and hewed out a wine vat in it. He expected it to yield grapes, but it yielded wild grapes. And now, inhabitants of Jerusalem and people of Judah, judge between me and my vineyard. What more was there to do for my vineyard that I've not done? When I expected it to yield grapes, why did it yield wild grapes?
Thank you, Palmer. Our second reading this morning is from a couple chapters further on in Isaiah. This is Isaiah chapter 11, verses 1 through 9. This is on page 558 in the Pew Bible in front of you. If you'd like to follow along, that would be good. Isaiah 11, 1 through 9. A shoot shall come out from the stock or the stump of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. And Jesse, you know, was the father of David, the greatest king of Israel. Jesse's descendants, branches of his family tree, so to speak, would sit on David's throne for nearly 500 years. But when these words are written, Isaiah is looking ahead a few years to the time when the kingdom would be lost to the Babylonians. Jesse's family tree would be cut down and carried away, and only an apparently lifeless stump would remain. Apparently lifeless, I say, because Isaiah says one day a branch will grow from that stump. Roots deep in the earth refuse to die. Life finds a way. Isaiah promises that a new king in David's line, a new branch on Jesse's family tree, will appear. And after a long line of failed kings, this one would be different. Continuing in verse 2. The Spirit of the Lord shall rest on him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord. His delight shall be in the fear of the Lord. This king will be wise and good. Led by the Spirit, his delight will be in God. He shall not judge by what he sees, or decide by what his ears hear, but with righteousness he shall judge the poor, and decide with equity for the meek of the earth. Fair judgment and equal treatment toward the poor and the lowly was not the way things were done by kings in ancient Israel or any place else for that matter. Isaiah is signaling here a new kind of kingdom. He shall strike the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips he shall kill the wicked. Righteousness shall be the belt around his waist, and faithfulness the belt around his loins. This king will fight his battles not with weapons of violence, but with words and ideas, convincing, not conquering his enemies. Justice for everyone will be his guiding principle. And then Isaiah dives deep into this beautiful metaphor to describe what this renewed kingdom will feel like. The wolf shall live with the lamb, the leopard shall lie down with the kid, the calf and the lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. The cow and the bear shall graze, their young shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox. The nursing child shall play over the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the adder's den. They will not hurt or destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth will be full of the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. This ends our readings for this Sunday morning. God is speaking to us through these words. When God speaks, we know the words are always true, and we can always trust them. Let us pray. May the words that I speak and the meditations of all our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. Beloved, let us love one another, for love is from God. Everyone who loves is born of God and knows God. Whoever does not love does not know God, for God is love. This is where we begin and end, and this fills all the time in between our beginning and our ending. Nothing I have said or ever said or ever will say here is more important, so I intend to remind us of this as often as I can, but especially this week. Because last week, you may remember if you were here, that we read Isaiah's description of the unwinding of Israel and her descent into exile in Babylon. Centuries of living contrary to God's design. A vineyard producing sour grapes is the image Isaiah used. Centuries of that has left the culture and religion and nation of Israel defenseless against the rampaging Babylonians. When the armies came, the Jewish people lost almost everything. And then I applied Isaiah's imagery to our own situation. For at least 300 years now, I suggested, we have been producing our own sour grapes with an industrial-sized disruption of our planet's climate, the ongoing destruction of our environment, and the driving of thousands of species of animals to extinction. And now that we understand the problem and we know what we're doing, we still are doing almost nothing to turn back the rising tide of floods that will threaten our children and our grandchildren far into the future. Isaiah's words are indeed prophetic. From chapter 5, I will make your land a waste. It shall not be pruned or hoed. It shall be overgrown with briars and thorns. I will also command the clouds that they rain no rain upon it. And the result of all this, I said last week, is that the future is going to be hard on our kids. Harder than we think and probably harder than we can imagine. Much of the world that we have known is going away. Our children's tomorrows will not look like our yesterdays. I think that we need to be preparing for that. We need to be preparing them for that, for what lies ahead. Our generation, us old folks, will have plenty to answer for in the coming centuries. The least we can do, it seems to me, is to think together now about how we and they might live into this uncertain, unpleasant future, how they might even thrive under conditions that will be harsh for most everyone. And maybe this is why the lectionary people paired these two chapters from Isaiah for us, chapter 5 and chapter 11. Chapter 5 brings us face to face with the destruction of everything good and holy. Chapter 11 offers a way, starting right now, for us to live through that destruction and to begin building spaces that will be just and good and beautiful for everyone. So we're going to be focusing this morning on verses 6 through 9 in chapter 11, but we can't read those correctly without noting how verse 1 sets the stage. A shoot shall come from the stump of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of its roots. Jesse's family tree, from which all the kings of Israel had descended, has been cut down, hauled away, and burned up. Only a dead stump remains, a reminder of how the Babylonians hauled their king to Babylon and burned their temple to the ground. With no king, there was no kingdom. With no temple, there was no God. For Israel, it was the end of the world. This is the setting for what follows. Has been complete destruction. There is utter hopelessness. Everything is gone. You see, in chapter 11, Isaiah isn't saying that trouble won't come or that we will be rescued from it. What he says is that we can live through the trouble because the stump is not dead. Because life finds a way, God finds a way. This unimpressive little shoot grows out of the stump. This unlikely little branch is God saying to Israel in their day and to us in our day, look, we can do this again. For sure, much has been destroyed, but we can do something, and maybe we can get it right this time. And then Isaiah gives us this rather fantastical vision of what this world will look like, what it could look like. This world that will be inhabited by damaged people living in this damaged world. With righteousness he shall judge for the poor, Isaiah says. This renewed world could be a place where the government's primary purpose is to ensure justice and equity for the poor, the weak, and the vulnerable. In a damaged world, a lot more of us will be poor and vulnerable, and a good government could prevent a lot of suffering. In verse 4, Isaiah says that this renewed world could be a place where disputes are settled with words rather than weapons. When people are afraid, as most of us are these days, we too quickly lose words and turn to weapons. And so peacemakers, those who can speak peace to anxious people, can prevent a lot of harm. And then, my favorite part, beginning in verse 6, this dream becomes so vivid that Isaiah has to use animals as stand-ins for people to describe it, as if it's beyond our imagination. The wolf shall live with the lamb, the leopard shall lie down with the kid, the calf, the lion, and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. The cow and the bear shall graze, their young shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox. The nursing child shall play over the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the adder's den, and they will not hurt or destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth will be full of the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. Now, this is poetry. This is a metaphor, of course. And as I told the class downstairs, wolves and lambs will never live peaceably in any world. A wolf may invite a lamb to dinner, but only one of them is going to get off the table. Isaiah is describing people here. Wolf-like people and lamb-like people. Lion-like people and calf-like people. Little baby-like people and poisonous snake-like people. He's using characters from the world we already know to hint at what may yet become. In our world, it is clear that wolf, lion, and snake people hold all the power and enjoy all the privilege. The bear, instead of grazing with the cow, turns and eats the cow. That's how power works. That's how we got into the place we are now, with our beautiful world catching fire. But here, in this poem, God is enlisting these characters to dream a better dream. A dream, I think, that we need to catch and dream ourselves if we are to survive and to thrive in the hot, thin world that is close upon us. What if, the dream says, what if in our future or in our present world, wolf people were persuaded to be lamb people. And lion people decided to be calf people, and snake people decided to be baby-like people, so that they could all live together. It could happen, you know. We are, after all, each created in God's image, with brains and hearts. We know the difference between love and hate, between kindness and meanness, generosity and greed. As someone once said, this isn't rocket surgery we're talking about here. Thank you. That one got me the first time I heard it, too. We have some choice in the courses that our lives take. You know, what if our choices aligned more with God's choices? What if those of us with power and wealth and privilege chose more often, to use those resources to benefit our neighbors rather than to profit from them? In the world that God dreams, wolves don't readily lose their taste for lamb, you know. They come to realize, because maybe someone helps them think about it, that eating lamb is not good for the lamb. So they choose a different entree for dinner and discover that they really enjoy the living lamb's company. And I said a moment ago that God's dream is so far beyond us that to describe it, Isaiah had to use animals as stand-ins for people. Well, it isn't quite true that it's beyond us. The truth is, you see, that we were made to inhabit God's dream. The dream is within our reach. The world the Creator dreams requires love. God, who is love, created us to be capable of loving. The world the Creator dreams requires kindness. And God, who is kindness, created us with the ability to be kind. The world the Creator dreams requires generosity. And God, whose being is generosity, gave us the impulse to be generous. The world the Creator dreams requires justice. And God, who is the embodiment of justice, has instilled in us the sense of what is fair and right. So here's the thing, you see, this is the way it is. God's dream is not a far-off, pie-in-the-sky hope. It is, rather, God's offer for today and for our near future, our very hot future. It is, in fact, already here for the choosing, because it is already ours for the living. It's what we were made to do. It is, I should add, the choice that we who follow Jesus, and anyone who has chosen any other peaceful path, is a choice we have already made. Now, we could no doubt travel this path with greater kindness, greater openness. Improvement is always possible, always to be desired, but the dream is already ours. We can do what we are called to do. I'd like to tell you that the future is not so dire and everything will be okay. I just don't think that's true. The scientists could be wrong. I hope they are wrong. I just don't believe they are. Here's what I do believe. I believe the Creator has equipped us with all that we need to live as God's people in hard times as well as in good times. I believe in love and kindness and justice. And I believe with St. Paul that nothing, neither death nor life, nor angels, nor rulers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor heights, nor depths, nor anything else in all creation will ever, ever separate us from the love of God. I believe in God's dream. Amen. This, of course, is not the table of this church or any church. It is the table of our Lord, and it is made ready for you. And you are welcome. If you have more faith than you can manage or less than you need, if you come here often or have never been here before, if you know Jesus well or have never met him, whoever you are, wherever you've been, whatever brought you here this morning, you are welcome at this table. Not because I'm inviting you, but because Jesus himself is inviting you. This Jesus who said, "Come to me, all of you who labor under these heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, learn from me, for I am meek and gentle of spirit, and here at this table you will find rest for your soul." Let's pray together. We thank and praise you, source of life, lover of creation, whose wisdom gave birth to all things and cradled the earth. You have created us and called us to be one with you and with all people. You value us, you call us to account, you promise us life eternal. And so with all your people, past, present, and those yet to come, and all the company of heaven, we join in giving you praise, singing our joy, proclaiming our wonder. Living God, by the presence of Jesus at this table, may your Spirit bring unity and peace to this world you have loved so well and redeemed so fully. God of our hope, bless this gift of bread, this gift of wine, and bless us, that we may be for the world the living body of Christ. Amen. We remember that night when Jesus sat at a table with his friends before they betrayed him, how he took a loaf of bread, and he gave thanks for the bread, and he broke it, and he gave it to them, and he said, "Take, eat. This is my body. It is for you. When you eat, remember me." And after supper, he took a cup of wine and gave thanks for the cup and gave that to his friends, saying, "Take, drink. This cup is my blood of the covenant. This cup makes possible a new, a lasting relationship between you and me. When you drink, remember me." We gather here every week. We eat and we drink together, proclaiming as we do what is the mystery of our faith, that Christ has died, but Christ is risen, and Christ will come again. These are the gifts of God for you, my friends, the people of God. So come. Everything is now ready. Both wine and grape juice in the cups. The wine is in the ceramic cup and grape juice in the pewter cup. So I will break off a piece of bread for you to dip into whichever cup you prefer, and you can return to your seat by the outside aisle. We do have gluten-free bread at the table. If you need that, just ask for it when you come. And are the kids downstairs? Yeah, I forgot to ring the bell to bring them up. So if we could wait 1 second, they like to go first. We put in this nifty early warning system where I can push a button on the pulpit and it rings a bell downstairs. It only works if I actually remember to push the button with the 3-minute warning. So I need to put a sign there. Yeah. Please come. get my symbol straight. This is an expression of exasperation sometimes that I forgot to put stuff on the screen. It doesn't mean stand up. But you, so I appreciate that. For whom or for what are we praying? Keeping in mind that this is Thanksgiving week and we have much to be grateful for. Well, what are we thankful for? What do we need? What are we praying for? Katie.
My sister Kelly and brother-in-law Matt, they're celebrating 25 years of marriage.
How many?
25. So on Thanksgiving, we're gonna surprise them with just some games and trivia
Oh.
to honor them.
Sounds good. Katie's sister and brother-in-law celebrating 25 years of marriage. Is it the date today or is it
It was
here?
it was October 15th.
Oh, okay, we're celebrating today. Okay. Okay. Pardon?
I just want to keep Roger, our prayers, he's healthy, but he will be 75 tomorrow.
Oh, really? Roger has 75th birthday tomorrow. Is he not here today because you knew you would say that and we would sing for him, or he's hunting today? And we'll pray for his birthday and for his safety out in the woods. Yes, Sonia.
The guy sitting next to me, Gerhard, has a birthday on Thanksgiving.
On Thanksgiving.
And he won't mind if I say the date. He says he's 47. I say he's 87.
87 years old. Congratulations, Gerhard. I'm looking forward to 87. It'll be a good year, I'm sure. Joyce.
My sister Dolores is 83 today.
Oh, really?
She's in an assisted living
Oh.
with early Alzheimer's.
So Joyce's sister is 83 today, living in an assisted living home. Gerhard?
Yes, and I should mention that my wife Sonia's birthday is the day before mine. She's not 87.
So Sonia's birthday is the day before Thanksgiving. She is not 87. You let that one hang and everybody will wonder. Happy birthday to both of you. Harlan.
Ruth and Tom's granddaughter, Cameron, doing well.
Right, little 6-year-old Cameron is home from the hospital from her open heart surgery, doing well. Her heart's performing really well. She has some kind of a rash going on they can't get rid of yet, but everything else is going well. And Ruth and Tom are at the farm today celebrating an early family Thanksgiving. Julie.
For those that have losses in their lives, and are just really ignoring.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm real proud of Hannah because she is a deer hunter and she got 3 deer yesterday. Oh, 3.
In one day.
Killed her tag. 2 killed another. Nobody else got a deer.
I'm not going to mess with that kid.
And also she's scared a little, she's only 15 and she is going to have a surgery on Tuesday. So it's opening up a nostril, so it's reconstructive surgery in there, and it's just to be, reassure her and.
Okay, good, thank you. 3 things from Julie. First of all, remembering those who have had losses in the recent past and maybe going through the first holiday season without a loved one. That is a very, very difficult time. So if you know someone like that, hold them close. Her granddaughter Hannah, who is here most every Sunday, is a hunter who took down 3 deer yesterday in one day. As I said, I'm not going to mess with that kid. And she also has a surgery. It's fairly minor kind of surgery, Julie, a reconstructive surgery on her nasal structures. So we'll keep Hannah in our prayers and give her our congratulations too. Palmer.
For my doctors.
Yeah, praying for Palmer's doctor is getting word back on some tests that were done recently. We'll get the word back this coming Tuesday, so I know what's going on with them. Which is a way of praying for you as well. Pray for wisdom for the doctors and courage and health for Palmer. us when he said, "Our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors. And do not bring us to the time of trial, but rescue us from the evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen." Our closing hymn this morning is a repeat from last week, and that is not an accident. We're doing it again because I like it, and because it's a song that fits even better this Sunday than it did last Sunday. In the midst of new dimensions, if you are able, please stand. One more, Julie. The Lord will keep you from all evil. The Lord will keep your life. The Lord will keep your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore. With that assurance, my friends, leave this place in peace to serve your neighbors and to serve your God. Amen.